For over a week, we had been preparing for what the National Weather Service said would be a serious weather event. Expectations were for 40 to 50 mile per hour winds and for 4 to 5 inches of rain. We have all weathered storms worse than that and came out wet, but none the worse for the wear. We knew there would be rising water because of the storm surge that major storms develop in advance of their arrival and the resulting floods from the intense rainfall. To that end, we left our marina knowing that we would be safer at harbor. If the water level increased more than we thought, we would rise above the pilings and stand a chance of holding the boat on top of submerged pilings in what was certainly going to be murky water. The ensuing flood would force us to leave as well, so we stocked up on food, water, and fuel, and motored to our safe haven for the next week or so. There is a saying in the marine world: red sky in the morning, sailors take warning. Red sky at night, sailors take delight. It was Wednesday, September 17th, and the beautiful blue afternoon sky with wispy white clouds turned to a soft red sky as the sun set. The winds were more than normal, but still not unpleasant. We were ready for the worst, and we had all hoped Mother Nature would make all of our preparations unnecessary. Thursday, September 18th, started out like any other windy day, but without a red sky. We hoped this would be the only thing that went wrong today. The satellite images were telling us to take warning, in spite of how the ancient saying went. Before noon, the clouds had rolled in, the wind increased, and we sat at anchor thinking of how we would soon be back to our normal routine at our safe marina. It was now 6:00 p.m., and the winds and rain were heavy and gusty. Waves seemed to be coming out of nowhere in increasing size and frequency, even though we were all relatively close to shore. The prediction for wind and rain increased with each passing hour, then by each passing minute. By 8:00 p.m. we had recorded gusts of 60 miles per hour, and the rain was horizontal and very heavy. The electronic equipment we were relying on to stabilize position was blinded by the intense rainfall. The lights from Richmond disappeared, leaving us in total darkness with no landmarks visible to ensure our position. Unknown to us, we were lucky because we could not hear the trees cracking and crashing to the ground. By midnight, we began to disbelieve our depth finders, as they now flashed depths almost 10 feet above normal high tide. The winds violently threw us around, causing movements that we had only felt while underway in an unfriendly sea. The marine radio was filled with cries for help, as people's boats tried to crash through marina roofs, anchors were dragged, sending homes away from homes onto the rocky shorelines, and announcements were made of another one that just went down. It was Friday, September 19th, and adrenaline was our friend. We were all wide awake after spending a sleepless night with Isabel, a lady no one would want to bring home to meet Mother. We were lucky. We were still floating, our generators had kept our food frozen, and our water tanks had fresh water. And we could see the pain and suffering others had endured as we watched televised reports of damage left in Isabel's wake. Our first chore was to get back on land and see what had happened to Kingsland Reach Marina. We were delighted to see it was still intact, although we did have to retrieve our 120-foot-long floating dock from the adjacent property. The other marina close to us had some boats damaged, one had even sunk, but overall was in good shape. As we snaked our way around downed trees, we were determined to see how our other boating brethren had fared further down the mighty James. Nothing could have prepared us for the total devastation we saw as we arrived at Jordan Point Yacht Haven. Every piece of horizontal wood had been ripped from its structure, which was also heavily damaged and only a mere shadow of its former self. All of the boats had been carefully removed from the water prior to the storm, to ensure their safety from the high winds and rough water. Unfortunately, the much higher than anticipated storm surge had brought those very rough waters onto land, causing the unmanned boats to crash into each other while floating only a few feet above what was only yesterday a parking lot. Unsecured and unprotected, they beat each other to pieces as if entered in some kind of perverted demolition derby. This event had no winners, as was evidenced by the sickening remnants when the high water receded back into the James River. Further up the James into the Appomattox River, Hopewell Yacht Club apparently sustained enough damage to warrant permanent closure. Boat damage was minimal, but the aging marina had finally been pushed past the brink by its final storm. Hopewell Yacht Club Marina was not Isabel's last victim. Reports of lost boats, destroyed roofs on marinas, and erosion never seen before by even the most experienced boaters became standard items of discussion. The impact of Isabel will be felt for a very long time by many of the boating community. The second guessing and misplaced optimism of the storm's effects will haunt many. Many boaters will utter, "maybe next time," followed by a statement involving some action that could never have been anticipated. We learned by experience, a 500-year storm is too rare an event for any of us to understand the true impact. Those who escaped damage were lucky, those who lost the boats were not. Sometimes it's just that simple. Our loss as boaters has had a future effect on many others as well. The 2003 James River Parade of Lights will not be seen by over 10,000 people as it was last year. But as we boaters reflect the spirit of all of us in the United States, we will be back in 2004 to give the citizens of the counties of Henrico and Chesterfield and the city of Richmond a light parade that will brighten our spirits far more than Hurricane Isabel darkened our skies.